Okay, fastening methods. How many of you guys spent your 3-day weekend reading chapter 3? Yeah, more than I expected. Yes. Read every other word or first paragraph, last paragraph. I read the whole thing. Okay, so fastening methods. We're talking about fastening, threaded fasteners, non-threaded fasteners, adhesives, and welding. Anybody ever stop to think that adhesives are considered fasteners? Most people don't. Most people don't think about welding as being a type of fastener either. But you are, in fact, fastening two distinct pieces of whatever together, so technically it is. What's an example of a threaded fastener?
Screw. That bolts.
How about a non-threaded fastener?
A rivet.
Nails.
Rivet, nail, those are the two that jump into my mind almost immediately. Okay, so our objectives are going to be to define fastening, compare the characteristics of different types of threaded fasteners, non-threaded, types of adhesives used by industrial technicians. Be surprised how many people use cyanoacrylate or CA glue. That's the technical name for super glue or crazy glue.
Makes a good Band-Aid too.
Yes. Burns like hell though whenever you put it on.
It's true.
And then explain welding process used by industrial techs. So a thread fastener is a device that joins parts together with a screw thread. It's a helical inclined plane around a central axis, or anybody ever watch Big Bang Theory?
I mean, I have.
Probably more people watch Big Bang Theory than read chapter 3, right? Yeah, there are several episodes in there where they talk about, the technical definition of a screw, which is helical plane, whatever it is, Wish I would have thought to find that before class today. So. Anyway, several different kinds there. Either you want to zoom on the picture, you just pinch that screen.
Okay. Like, with my hand?
Not the other one. Just pinch the screen. There you
Oh,
go.
wow.
How cool is that?
So fucking cool.
You what?
That's cool, like us, man.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so, anybody name what some of those are by chance, maybe?
The blue is Tapcon, I know that. Concrete.
It is a concrete bolt. Tapcon is a brand name.
Yeah, that's true. Concrete bolt. Yeah. Helical fastener.
You could name them by their
About something like that.
scale. Is that like, I thought it was around for a second. Is it?
Oh, what?
Drywall?
Drywall.
Yep.
One to the right of it looks like a wood screw.
That one wood screw?
That's one of the wood screws. Decking screw.
The deck screw. And then, of course, wood screws and machine screws and whatnot. Various types of nuts and washers and things. A screw thread is a ridge in the form of a spiral on the internal or external surface of a cylinder or cone, which isn't exactly what they say on Big Bang, but it's close. And you do not need to commit this to memory. The lab that we're going to do today is going to be very, very much like what the mastery for fasteners. So, have the major diameter, which is the largest part, the minor diameter, which is the bottom of the thread, the valley, and then helix angle tells you, and the pitch is probably one of the more important ones that you're going to be interested in. So you need to know what the diameter of it is, need to know what the pitch is, which is how many threads per inch there are on whatever fastening device it is, assuming it is a threaded fastener. Okay. You also need to know how to determine the length of it. If it has a regular head on it, you measure from the bottom of the head to the end of the fastener. If it has a flat head and a countersink, you measure from the top of the head to the end. Okay. A lot of people don't know that. So, self-tapping screw is a thread fastener with a tapered point. Screw threads that pipe into a compressible or deformable material as it is driven, such as wood, plastic, Play-Doh.
Siding.
That would be plastic, though. They also make self-drilling, self-tapping. It's got a little drill bit on the end of it, makes its own hole.
I like those, I use those a lot.
Yeah. People that do HVAC work, any of you guys HVAC? Of course, one oddball.
Yeah.
Anyways, a lot of people in HVAC use those because they zip them in ductwork pretty easily, very quickly. Self-tapping screws are available in a variety of materials, sizes, head shapes, and drives. There are a whole bunch of different kind of drives. You've got the Quartz or the Star, square drive, Phillips, flat, Hex. Allen is the brand name also. It's technically a hex key. A whole bunch of different kinds. Some of them don't have a drive on them at all. Like a carriage bolt, it's got a rounded off head, and the shank on it has got a square, typically a square protrusion just under the head. You put it in a square hole, and the hole itself becomes the method to hold the fastener while you run the nut on to the end of it. Panhead, that's a pretty common one. Hex with a washer. Pinch in on it, Roger.
Hex in a water. Oh, there it is.
So the flat Philister, that's old school. Almost no fasteners nowadays have flathead drive because way too easy to strip them out. Anybody that's ever tried to remove a flathead screw, especially, because we're Americans and we're lazy. So instead of using a regular old screwdriver, instead of doing this, we break out an Apex bit set, put it in our drill motor, and go zip. And do those a whole lot faster than you can with one of these any day of the week. Problem with that is most people don't set the clutch on the screw gun and end up stripping them out anyway. So, there are various, angles on the, flathead countersink, or countersunk, depending on who you ask. Fasteners, if you have an 82 degree, you want to make sure that the countersink is an 82 degree. Try and put an 82 degree countersink in a 90 degree or 100 degree countersink hole. It won't fill the hole properly. So, headless. You might know what you might use a headless fastener for.
Set screws
Set screw, very
all the
good.
time.
Screw drive, standardized internal shape recessed into a screw that allows the screw to be rotated with a matching tool. So there's your hex socket, Phillips spanner. And you guys ever seen, go to, pretty much any public place that has bathroom? It's either got the one way or the spanner screws holding the stalls together in the bathrooms. Yeah. The Pearson and the Phillips look very similar to one another. You notice that?
I was looking at that.
Most people think that's Phillips. When you think about what the top of a drywall screw looks like, you know, Phillips is a much more narrow version of that.
That's why they get stripped out a lot.
That's what I was just gonna say.
You're using the wrong tool for the right job.
I've used that a couple times to strip the bolt, but I'm like, man, what's this stripping?
Yep.
Are you,
Positive works pretty well too.
how can you tell, between a Phillips screwdriver and a fearsome drill?
Well, the Phillips is a much narrower
Yeah.
slot than the Pearson is.
So you can tell that from the screwdriver too.
Typically,
What's a Pearson driver look like? Does it look like a?
Phillips is just wider.
It's like flattened on the end
Phillips.
instead of tapered.
Oh, I see, it's more dull.
Right.
Yeah. Like Devin said, it's also beefier looking.
A little beefy.
Like I'm just gonna get a bigger screwdriver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever my drill bit kit.
Okay, so that shows the square drive, or the square head, I'm sorry, square neck
That's
on the
inconvenient.
carriage bolt. Those require nuts. And some of them are not threaded all the way down, some of them are. That is
Shoulder
typically, no, shoulder bolt's different.
Okay.
This is not fully threaded, those are. Shoulder bolt, the shoulder is a different diameter than the thread.
Oh, gotcha.
The, whether it is fully threaded or not is typically determined by the length. Shorter ones are almost always, not always, but almost always fully threaded. You get over, say, about 2 inches, and you will find frequently that it's not fully threaded. Okay. Okay. Bolt is a large, partially threaded fastener with no internal drive recess that is intended to be used with a nut. Most of the time. You can buy bolts that have hex head, hex with a washer built in, all that kind of stuff, that also have a Pearson drive in it. You can do it one. But typically speaking, bolts are all external drive. Grading. No marks is a grade 1 or grade 2. Intermediate quality, low carbon steel, minimum tensile strength 65,000, that is foot-pounds. 3 marks is a grade 5. 5 marks is a grade 7. 6 marks is a grade 8. Grade 8 is by far the most, the strongest one, stands the most force on it before it breaks. I don't never did understand why. I'm sure that we can look it up. But why is 3 marks grade 5 and not grade 3? Like, what genius came up with that idea?
Really confused people like me. Same one that made a Frierson and a Phillips head.
Yeah. Or a slotted or a flat tip.
Probably.
Some person decide to add security falls into those stupid.
Things that make you go, like, why do you drive on parkways, park on driveways? Okay, bolt machine screw sizes include a nominal thread diameter, which is, nominal means typical or average. There's always some kind of tolerance there. And the number of threads per inch or TPI that are separated by a hyphen. So, also have coarse and fine thread. Fine thread gives you more positive engagement, or more surface area for the two fasteners, the nut and the bolt to engage with each other. So they typically have better holding power than a coarse thread does. It just takes more revolutions to get them to screw together. But most common sizes are 8, 10, and 12 on the gauge sizes, and then fractional, most common are a quarter, 5/16, 3/8, half, 9/16, 5/8, 3/4, and 1. So if I tell you, hey, I need a 1/4 20 bolt, 3 inches long, what does that mean? Somebody, anybody?
Say it one more time. 20 threads per inch.
20 threads, 3 inches long.
Means you get a
Quarter
machine
diameter,
screw.
20 threads per inch. And 3 inches long. But if I just say 1/4 20 bolt, doesn't tell you anything about the length. It also doesn't tell you what head I'm expecting. Or does it? I say 1/4 20 bolt.
Tells me you don't want it threaded all the way.
Also tells you that I want an external drive. Typically hex. If I tell you that I want a 1/4 20 cap screw, 3 inches long, that would say internal thread with hex drive. And then, of course, you also have carbon steel, stainless steel, brass, bronze, plastic, a whole bunch of different materials that you can make them out of. Washer is a small metallic disc with a hole in the center used under the head of a bolt or screw and or nut to spread the load or the tightening force over a larger area. A lot of people use them to take up the gap because the bolt that they bought is too long, so you just keep stacking washers under it until you make it fit. Two different types of washer, just regular flat washer. Its sole purpose is to distribute the load. Okay. Lock washer is designed to keep the tube from unscrewing, backing off. Okay. If you happen to take apart anything that has a lock washer on it, do you use the same lock washer when you put it back together?
That's not, I would say no.
I didn't say should you, I said do you?
Yeah, I do all the time. I know you're not supposed to.
Yeah, a lock washer is one and done. And people reuse them all the time, myself included. I'm just as guilty as everybody else is. Okay. Oh, man, I need to pull the blades off the mower and resharpen them. Well, guess what? There's a lock washer under there to keep the bolt from backing off, so that the blade doesn't come off whenever it's spinning around at, 3,000-4,000 RPM or higher faster the one more blade spins. So if you reuse that lock washer, you're no guarantee that it's not going to try to come off anyway. Although those are typically left-handed thread. Yes, that really is a thing. You ever heard the phrase righty-tighty, lefty-loosey?
Yeah.
That left-handed thread is exactly opposite of that.
It's the biggest pain in the
Take a
butt.
stab at why right-handed thread is the default, most common.
Easier to remember, most people are right-handed, I don't
Most people are right-handed.
know. I'm guessing that.
So with left-handed, you.
So righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, right? Most people on the planet are right-handed. There's a few of us like, you're left-handed, aren't you? No? Okay. Could swear I saw you write with your left hand once.
No, not at all.
Can you write with your left hand?
No.
I am as right-handed as you can get.
Me too.
If I have to do anything with my left hand, I gotta stop and really think about it.
And how you're gonna write? Write down the page.
So, friend of mine, he just passed away recently, but we were friends since high school. And I can remember sitting in class with him, and he would turn his paper the wrong way, and he would have to hold his pencil like this, and so you could see what he was writing and all kinds, because, you still got to write from left to right.
Drag your hand all through it.
Yeah.
Sucks.
I'm sure you have those,
That sucks.
see his paper facing the wrong way. However, it is said that the right half of the brain controls the left half of the body, and the left half of the brain controls the right half of the body.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
So that means that left-handed people are the only ones in their right mind.
That's good.
Sure.
I gotta hold it like this. Next, right.
I do it all like this, because my hand just drags through everything. It's annoying.
Okay.
Can you pick up some?
A nut is a small block of metal or plastic or bronze or brass or whatever with an internal thread hole that is threaded on into the matching bolt or machine screw to assemble a stack of parts. and several different kinds. The hex slotted, high slotted, those kind. Almost everybody refers to them all as castle nut. You know why they're called a castle nut?
Look like castles?
It's like the top lookout towers.
Tips look like
It's like the top lookout tower on the old medieval castle.
That was close enough.
I know a guy that I worked with years ago, called them rooks,
Yeah.
because he was heavy duty into chess, and that's what the top of the rook looks like. A nail is a small metal rod in shape of a spike with a broadened circular head that is driven typically into wood with a hammer. If all else fails, you get out a bigger hammer.
There's always a bigger hand.
Yes. Notice that top one is all twisted?
Is it
Yeah.
zinc covered?
Hmm?
Is it zinc coated?
Probably. Looks like it.
Shiny.
Actually, all of them, those two look like they're probably zinc coated. So, why would you want your nail to be twisted? Couldn't you just do a screw?
Keeps it back. Or permanent.
I take it that removing it's probably gonna be a little more difficult with the twist, or no?
Mhm.
Ah, okay, yeah. Because you know how you remove it with a hammer? It's twisted.
Instead of pulling it straight out, it wants to twist on the way out.
Mm-hmm.
The bad thing about those is if you drive it and you pull it back out, since it wants to twist, and when you're pulling it, it can't because of the hammer preventing it from twisting, you will typically make the hole big enough that whenever you try to put it back in, it won't stay.
There's always a bigger nail in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nails are driven into wood either by hand or with hammers or mechanically or pneumatic combustion-powered nail guns. You ever driven past a place where they're building a house? You get pop, 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 pop.
Yeah, my dad would do that.
That's a nail gun in operation. There are people that work on construction sites. There's a little safety on the end. Has to be depressed in order for the trigger to work. Well, they don't want to wait, so they wire it or tape it or do other, some other thing to hold it back. So that all they gotta do is go. But then you can use that nail gun, have nail gun fights, shoot them at each other.
Ooh, that looks nice.
Yeah, don't ever do that. Nail drive is holding strength by friction with the wood along its length. Hey, the grooves up here, designed to improve the grip. A lot of people think that that is caused by, all they do is make a nail, they cut them to length, and it goes into a press, and it just, you hold on to the rod, and you smack the top of it, and it flattens out into a head. A lot of people think that those marks come from holding the nail while they are putting the head on it. And technically it is, but it's done on purpose because it gives the nail better grip. Nail sizes, nail lengths are designated by the penny unit.
Which is denoted with a lowercase d. Does that make sense?
Yes.
No, that was that engineer guy.
I can imagine the unit PB.
It also is not related to the penny. Okay, original rivet designs were installed by inserting the rivet through a hole, pressing or beating the inserted end to form a head. They still do that in high-rise construction. It was not bolted there. But you can watch those guys on YouTube, TV, whatever, and they actually heat the rivets up so that they're red hot. And you got a pitcher and a catcher. The pitcher is the guy that's working at the forge where they're heating the rivets up, and he pitches them to the catcher. Catcher catches it, sticks it in the hole, and then the batter is the guy on the other side that beats the rivet into shape on the other side. So, you know, why it is a baseball analogy, who knows, but.
I think I
Mark.
kind of get it.
Yeah. So, okay. As with other thread fasteners, there are many common types of head styles for rivets. By far, the most common is probably the button head. You know, an actual rivet. The pop rivets are way more common. Semi-tubular rivet is similar to a solid rivet, but has a partial hole on the tail end. Whenever you smash it together, the other side just looks a little bit different. Blind rivets are light-duty rivets that are used to fasten thin materials to an object from one side. A key is a small removable piece of steel of standard shape and dimensions that is placed in a key set or a key seat, sometimes referred to as a keyway, between a shaft and a hub, to provide a means for transmitting power. You will also typically see a set screw hole in there. And frequently, 90 degrees away will be a second set screw. Three main types of keys include parallel, taper, and woodruff. The parallel is just a piece of square stock. Nothing special about it. The taper is designed to be able to be taken apart one way only. And then woodruff is kind of usually a half circle. There's more neat there. So it gives it a better, more positive transfer of power. And it can be blind because the woodruff slot is typically set back away from the end of the shaft. A regular key, whenever you put it in there, the regular square stock, it can work its way out, where a woodruff key cannot because it's captured. Pin, cylindrical fastener that is placed into a hole to secure relative positions of two or more parts. So drill a hole all the way through both pieces, drive the pin in there. Typically it's a roll pin, or they take a piece of flat stock and roll it into a cylinder. You can also put a bolt in a nut, or some people use dowel pins, cotter pin. There's all kinds of ways you can do it. A wide variety of pin type, sizes, and materials are commonly available. So straight, taper, cotter pin, clevis, slotted spring. That's a roll pin. the tapered ones and those guys are not as common. An adhesive is a substance that is used to bond materials together at the surface. There you go. Cyanoacrylate, CA glue. One part, cure times is very fast. Bonds your skin instantly. An epoxy adhesive is a synthetic polymer resin adhesive that is chemically cured from two mixed liquids. So each one of them by itself doesn't do much. Mix them together and it gets really sticky.
I like that wood glue. Kind of looks like that.
Wood glue by itself is already pretty sticky.
Yeah.
Actually, if wood glue is used properly, the joint that the adhesive makes is stronger than wood itself.
Wow.
You take two pieces of wood and glue them together with using regular old Elmer's wood glue and try and break them apart, the wood will fail before the joint does, every time.
Wow, that's actually pretty good. I see those binders over there.
Okay? Oh, yeah.
He's obsessed.
Cyanoacrylate adhesives is an acrylic polymer resin adhesive that bonds very quickly. It's interesting that they put super glue on the Gorilla because super glue is actually a trade name. Like Crazy Glue.
Maybe it's old.
It may be old enough that it's no longer a protected thing too.
Yeah, that's it.
You know, like Mickey Mouse is part of the public domain now.
98-year-old copyright patents, an atrocious violation of.
Yeah.
everything.
Well, it just means that you can use Mickey Mouse's likeness without getting your butt suit off like Disney.
Oh, it's still trademarked.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I still think that that's not right.
Yeah, will not stop Disney from coming after you for using his likeness though.
Oh, that's what mouse. Right, I was looking up super glue.
Yeah, sorry. Adhesive tape is a strip of material coated on one or both sides with adhesive for the purpose of fastening.
I think that's why it's included in the fastening section.
Mm-hmm.
That's fascinating.
Whenever you want to hang someone up, put these tapes on them, fasten it to the wall.
Just use a red one to cover my broken tail light.
Anybody know what the nickname is?
Duct
Duct tape?
tape
No, duct tape is not the nickname.
or duct tape?
Duck.
Duck is a
There
brand name.
duct tape, but there is a brand of duct tape that is duck,
Duck tape.
so they call it duck tape. But does anybody know what the nickname is for duct tape?
Can't say I do.
No idea.
You ever heard the phrase 100-mile-an-hour tape?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, because you can.
Caught it. You caught it.
100-mile-an-hour tape, because it's very effective at taping fenders back on cars and bumpers and grills, and it'll hold that stuff on the car for at least 100 miles an hour.
At least. Nah, that's some strong stuff right there.
You guys watch Mythbusters? Trevor
Oh,
asked you
yeah.
that before.
Yeah.
Elijah is depraved. He never got to see Mythbusters.
Elijah?
One of the episodes,
It's this guy.
one of the episodes, they actually dedicated to duct tape. And they made rope with it, they made clothes with it, they made a boat with it,
I think I've seen that
Make a
episode.
barricade out of it.
all kinds of stuff. Another episode, they took a light aircraft, had a plastic skin rather than being metal, but still, like a little Cessna Piper Cup, little 1 or 2 person plane. And they tore it all up. A bear shredded the plane, and then they reskinned it using duct tape, and it flew just fine. Of course, it was a professional pilot. He never got it more than 3 feet off the ground, but it still flew. This is not high school. You don't have to ask. A lot of people also use tape for masking. That's what the blue stuff is. That's specific for painting, though. The green is actually better than the blue because the green, the adhesive comes off easier, but it seals better. So, you know what the red one is?
Well, electric tape is like the
It's
black,
like-
color.
It comes in any color, really.
It comes in multiple colors.
Because I feel like I'm hacking.
It's actually electrician's tape.
Oh.
Also makes a very effective Band-Aid. Oh, yeah.
I just call it insulation.
Back off again.
Insulation. Insulation.
Okay. The foil tape up there, they use for duct work also. Welding, oxyacetylene welding, or OAW, is an oxy-fuel welding process that uses oxygen mixed with acetylene. The acetylene by itself is very dirty. Whenever you light up an oxyacetylene torch, if you don't have the oxygen turned up high enough, get these little black soot balls that float around. I try really hard not to inhale those. It's bad news. But acetylene is a very flammable gas. You mix it with oxygen and it becomes extremely volatile. Can burn at very, very high temperatures. You can either use it to cut with or to weld. Many other gases you can use to weld with too.
Oh, hold
Shielded metal arc welding, or SMAW, is an arc welding process in which the arc is shielded from impurities by the gases emitted from the decomposition of consumable electrode covering. That's the fancy way of saying stick weld. Review questions. Before we do the review questions, might know what the other 2 welding styles are?
GTAW, GMAW,
What are they?
gas metal arc welding and gas tungsten arc welding. It's you got a TIG gun and then you got a MIG gun.
Okay, so which one's which?
TIG, you put an electrode in.
No. GMAW, TMAW.
Oh, GTAW is the TIG weld. GMAW is the MIG.
That stuff you can wire to, feed wire into it.
Yeah, TIG, you have to feed the filler, and MIG, the filler is what does the actual welding process. What are the general definitions of non-permanent, semi-permanent, and permanent fasteners?
Non-permanent, you can take apart. Semi-permanent, take apart with effort, take it apart. Permanent, you can't take it apart. You can't take it apart.
Sounds good to me. Describe the primary difference between self-tapping screws, bolts, and machine screws.
Primary difference.
Self-tapping has the tapered edge or the tapered end, and bolts and machine screws are flat at the end.
Okay, so what's the difference between a screw and a bolt?
Well, I said there really is no clear definition of it, so that's what I'm going with.
Yeah,
Needing a
screws.
nut and also needs external,
Yeah.
head, an external head.
A bolt is typically not threaded all the way,
Yeah.
where a screw is. A bolt typically has only external fastener tool engagement. A screw is typically internal. So you think hex wrench versus screwdriver. Describe the generally accepted differences between bolts and machine screws. We just did that. How are bolt and machine screw sizes designated?
Diameter and thread.
D.
Yeah, fractional and then grade. Bolts are grade and machine screws are fractional. Every quarter inch, 3/16.
Size would be diameter and thread per inch.
I was about to say that.
What's the purpose of a washer?
Clean your clothes.
I was just gonna say, to redistribute the, what's it called, pressure.
It's a pretty damn good sandwich.
To redistribute pressure along the plane. Kind of what, generally.
To lock them securely.
That
That
too.
would be a lock washer. That question refers to just regular flat washer. What features or techniques contribute to a nail's holding strength?
Using the right tool. Using the right tool would be one of them.
You're gonna have to get way louder than that, Sage.
I was gonna say using the right tool would be one of them. Also with nails, they have little rings.
That quieter she was answering. The shank is twisted.
Nail across the grain.
The shank is twisted. You got the notches at the top, help hold it in.
Nailing it like a slight angle, so it's hard to pull out.
Sometimes. I think they're looking more for characteristic of the nail itself, not.
Oh, I thought it said techniques, as in like what techniques you could use to make it hold better.
Okay, yeah, I'll go with that. How are solid rivets installed?
They're heated and, you described, the sort of, with baseball terminology, you have the,
You beat the headlights out of it.
yeah. Heated into shape pretty much.
Beat it into submission. How is a blind rivet installed?
Just like a washer.
Perfect. How are the different types of keys used? A straight key, taper key, Woodruff key.
Yeah. Parallel and Woodruff and.
You got these little key seats that you slide them in.
It's a hard one.
Yeah.
Like. Different applications and distributing powers from shaft to gears. That's what.
Or the other way around.
Yeah, well.
Hold on, we still,
You said you were looking it up, Nate, so.
Aren't they
we're all waiting for you.
also, you know, don't they supposed to take the torque too and able to?
the
steer
straight pins are often used to transmit, torque and, ground shafts.
If it is a shear pin that is designed to shear at a specific torque,
Yeah.
yes.
To save your shaft and your gear, yeah.
Yeah, if it is specifically designed to do that, then yes.
Sacrifice.
If it's not specifically designed to do that, and it does it anyway, good luck getting it out of there.
Yeah.
The taper pins transmit the torque between shafts and hubs or the certain position parts. Let's see here, the cotter pins are often used with clevis pins onto slotted nuts. They prevent like disengagement. The spring pins include slotted and coiled pins. They rely on the spring tension to hold themselves. And lastly, the groove pins provide a fit and locking feature. I take it to hold them in place. Was that good? Was that all right? All right.
Fantastic.
I'll
What are
take
some
that.
common characteristics of polymer adhesives?
See here.
Characteristics.
Two-part. Is that one part?
Could be either one. Epoxies are almost always synthetic.
What are the common characteristics of polymer adhesives? Is that the question?
They're all man-made.
Well, that's one of them. They're chains of repeating units that are chemically bonded together. That's one of them.
This is described.
They're also much more flexible.
Greater impact resistance.
resistance and
Good insulators.
Stronger
Heat
than other
resistant.
types of adhesives.
Water resistant.
Many varieties.
I
yeah.
think that sufficiently
More
describes that
flexible.
question, right?
That's a characteristic. It's more flexible.
How is cyanoacrylate adhesive cured?
How do you remove that adhesive?
It uses the cyanoacrylate and then it uses the moisture of the surface that it's bonding on to cure. So water, I guess, moisture.
That's why it bonds skin so easily, because you always have some sort of moisture or oils, sweat, whatever on your skin. Do you know what causes Loctite to activate?
It's just heat. Yeah, heat. No, that's how you get it off. You got
What you got,
The
Ben?
lack of oxygen. The oxygen keeps it liquid.
It's anaerobic. Very good.
So the difference in the red and blue is
That's just how strong.
curing.
That's how strong it
curing
is.
time? Oh.
It's how strong it is. The red is typically, you don't ever take it back off again without applying massive amounts of heat to it. Or just, brute force it.
Yeah. Torture.
You better have a grade 6 if you're gonna brute force red.
Yeah.
Get it off, get the torch.
What's the general procedure for applying adhesive tape?
I think I got this one, Rodney. I was
Adhesive
gonna
side
say
down.
fastening stuff along a surface, like you stick something on a wall.
Well, that's not the purpose of applying it.
Oh.
The process of fire. That. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How is electricity used in arc welding?
Creates
How is
the arc.
electricity used in arc welding processes?
I'll let someone else answer this one. I'm not. That's not my.
Creates the arc. Then creates the heat.
Which creates.
It is essentially a short circuit.
Yeah.
It is a controlled short circuit, but that's what it is.
I also hear of this other welding process that uses electricity where you'd have two thin strips of metal with one or two points or terminals, right? one would touch one side, the other would touch the other, and you would bond the two metal, not really with an
Talking
arc.
Spot welding.
Yeah, that's what it was called. I saw it on a video one time what was his name? I think his name is Inkegza, if anybody knows who that is.
Never met him.
Ah,
What is the main difference between shielded metal arc welding and the gas metal arc welding?
It's gonna be a good semester. See, it is. I like this semester.
Stick welding, your electrode has a coated flux, and then your MIG welding, it uses, it just pushes your gas
It's a
through your
gas that,
nozzle, and then that's the
a
main.
gas that is used as the shield.
Inert gas shield.
Doesn't necessarily have to be inert.
Oh, really? That's
It
crazy.
just has to displace oxygen.
I didn't know that. Cool.
Argon is frequently used, and it is in fact inert. But a lot of processes also use nitrogen, which is non-combustible, but it is not inert.
Gotcha. Interesting.
Like a argon hydrogen mix,
Hydrogen is extremely
or
combustible.
helium mix.
Yeah.
oh, combustible is helium.
Helium is also inert.
Did this cover brazing? Did we talk about that in this fastening class? Yeah, did
Did
we?
we? No.
Okay. Wasn't sure if I just missed it.
No.
Okay.
It's in the chapter.
It's technically a form of welding.
Okay.
It's in the book. It's in the chapter.
What's the difference between brazing and soldering?
The temperature, 840 degrees. Brazing, you gotta go above 840, soldering, you gotta stay below 840.
Oh, there it is.
Or you're melting.
So new to this stuff.
Yeah, it depends on what the material is whenever you're brazing. Brazing is typically done with brass.
Brass.